Are you and your partner navigating the emotional journey of trying to conceive? Today's webinar is especially for you. Welcome to today's wellness webinar, Strengthen Your Marriage During Fertility Challenges, Insights from Dr. Brenna Squires. We'll explore how challenges can be transformed into strengthening bonds and building resilience in relationships. I'm Mayim Vega, founder of Arukah.com, the Holistic Life Academy, where we empower people to unleash their inner healers to achieve holistic health and wellness in all areas of life, including fertility, relationships, and adversity. And we're thrilled to have Dr. Brenna Squires with us today. As a
Thank you so much.
psychologist, sorry
I'm
about
excited.
that. As a psychologist, educator, and couples fertility coach who has personally faced the challenges of infertility, Dr. Squires brings not only professional expertise, but also deep empathy to her work. She specializes in helping couples strengthen their marriages while navigating the often turbulent waters of trying to conceive. So, welcome, Dr. Squires.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am too. I'm super interested in this topic. And I just want to ask if you could please start by just telling us about how your relationship with your husband evolved during your own fertility journey.
Yes, so my husband and I have been married for 9 years now. And, when we first got married, we thought everything was going to be so easy. Growing up, you think things are going to be so easy because there's a plan, right? You graduate school, then you maybe go to college, and then you get a job, maybe get married, get a house, have kids. There's some sort of plan, and you think it's all going to kind of fall into place at some point in time. And that's what happened with us. We did most of those things that you're supposed to be doing or supposed to be doing. Um, and so we didn't think anything of it. So after getting married, we decided to wait a couple of years before we were going to try to have any kids. We really wanted to focus on our relationship, focus on our careers, and really build up that nest egg. And so the first 2 years were really just about us, just having fun, enjoying life, building our teamwork and doing well with communication. And then when it was time, or what we consider time to start having kids, that's when I got off of birth control. And I thought it was going to happen like that. Like my friends and family, I thought it's not going to be that hard, no big deal. But 1 month turns to 2 months, turns to 3 months, turns to 12 months and I start to think something's wrong, and things are not happening like I thought. And when I would go to the doctor, he said, "You're young, you're fine, it's not a big deal." And so there was a lot of dismissing of what I was going through. I had a lot of different symptoms that I felt like were problematic and they were dismissed. But as time went on, we did run some tests. And over the course of the next 2 years, as I was running, they were running fertility tests on me, and then they did one for my husband. My husband and I started getting busy at work, and family started getting stressful. His mother-in-law moved in at that time, and there was just a lot going on, and we realized we had shifted from what we were doing before, and now we were so focused on all of those other things, the work, the family, that we were kind of missing each other. We stopped communicating as much. We started assuming things about the other person. We started assuming, well, you don't want to do this because you're busy, or you don't want to do this because you don't like doing this. And we just made a lot of assumptions. And then we just stopped really talking about certain things. And we would just leave it to the simple things of the day to day. How was work? What can we do tomorrow? Things like that. And we didn't really get into the emotional impact that fertility was having on us. And so, about 4 years into our marriage, we found ourselves sitting at the dining room table, having a hard conversation about what were we going to do next? What were we going to do about our marriage? And what were we going to do about our fertility? And there was a lot of tears and a lot of hard conversations that we needed to have. But we decided if we were going to make this work, we needed to do a couple of things. One of which was to get on the same page again, get on the same team and start prioritizing our marriage. And with that, once we started prioritizing our marriage and doing a number of different things, which we can talk about a little bit later, but we started working on our communication, we started working on our teamwork, and started improving our boundaries. And once we started doing that, our relationship completely evolved to even better than before when we first got married. That was around the time that COVID actually um, happened, which means we both started working online, and it evolved even further because now we are working at home and living at home, and we see a lot of each other. So we really had to start focusing on the big things. And so now being married 9 years, I can say our marriage has completely changed from the first time that from even when we started dating and married to now, because we are so much stronger because we chose to prioritize our relationship over anything else.
I love that. So it sounds like you had a good marriage before, and then after realizing the fertility issues, I mean, maybe not right away, but they did improve, and even your relationship became stronger. And that's so true of so many different challenges in life and marriage as well. You know, when challenges come, they can either break you or they can make you stronger. So I really love that.
Yes, and we realized that we had that make it or break it moment where we realized these bad habits could break our relationship, or we could use that and really dive deeper into what are the problems and how we could fix them. And so, like you said, we saw it as a make it or break it moment, and we used that opportunity. Both of us came into agreement and said, we are going to focus on this, and we're not going to let other things like work or other family members take away from what we have built.
That's awesome. So what can you name some specific challenges that you and your husband faced when communicating with doctors and scheduling appointments and things like that?
Yes. So the first thing that we noticed was that we weren't communicating with each other. And so we weren't really on the same page, which with what we were doing for our fertility. And so there were things that happened to the doctor's appointments that when I tried to explain it to him, it didn't really translate. And so I often felt frustrated because at that point in time, when we first started doing our fertility journey, I was going to doctor's appointments by myself, and he would just hear it secondhand. And so I would go to a doctor's appointment, not really know what was going on, talk to him. He didn't know what was going on. And so one thing that we really did was we decided to look at it from a different perspective, and we started shifting our perspective on healthcare to doctors are your health advisors, not the decision makers. And so once we started seeing that, we started realizing what questions can we ask? What appointments should my husband be there, or would it be best if he's there so that we can both be present? And so once we started shifting that direction, we started coming to appointments with more of a curious mindset rather than this is happening to me and the doctors are telling us what we have to do and it doesn't make any sense to I have more control over this. And the doctors are just here to help me navigate through these fertility challenges. And so once we figured that out, it made it a whole lot easier. But prior to that, there was a lot of gaslighting from doctors. There was a lot of downplaying symptoms. There was a lot of um, confusion. They didn't know what was going on, and they would just say, "This, that is what it is. This is the diagnosis, and we don't really know what to do." And so it wasn't until we did our research and asked good quality questions and advocated for ourselves that we were able to find answers. And it really helped having my husband there as well, because if I got emotional, he was able to pick up and be able to ask the questions that we had already put on our list.
Okay, yeah, that's super interesting. And it reminds me of Dr. Vernon Coleman, he's one of the experts that our students study at the academy. And he has a saying that there are no holistic doctors, there are only holistic patients. Because truly, only
Yeah.
the person who's suffering or the couple that's suffering knows, every part of their life that could be affecting their health and healing. And any professional doctor, counselor, herbalist, doesn't matter who you go to, they're there to maybe give you a piece of the puzzle, but we really have to put the pieces together by ourselves. We can do that best, not another person.
Yes, and I think that's because we have all the pieces. Doctors only have glimpses of the pieces that we share with them. And if we don't share everything, they only have a little bit of information. And sometimes we assume that doctors are mind readers. We assume that they know everything that's going on, when in fact, they only know a handful of what's going on with us. It's what we tell them and what the tests tell them. And they don't know everything. I mean, we've been alive for so many years up until that point. So, like you said, it's really about us being able to put the pieces together, uh, allow the doctor to do their part in it, ask the good questions, and allow them to help you in that space. But also remember, you are the one that has you're the decision maker. You're the one that has the control over what happens.
Absolutely. Very well said. So how do you and your husband navigate this diagnosis of unexplained infertility? And could you explain more about why it's unexplained?
Yes, unexplained infertility is really a cover-all diagnosis for if you have been trying to conceive for 12 months or more and they can't find any underlying cause. So they've run a couple of tests, they've tried a couple of things, and it doesn't work. And if you're lucky, they run some tests and they try some things. For others, like myself, the first year they told me, "You're fine, you're young, just keep trying." And then after nothing happened at that point in time, I was still in my 20s at that point in time. Then we started running some tests. And then it wasn't until for me, I think year two, that I actually got the formal diagnosis of unexplained infertility, which in their terms means I don't know why you are having trouble conceiving and carrying to full term. And you asked another question aside from explain what that is?
No, well, just how do you navigate it now?
Well, I have since left that professional. So what I did was I went to another health professional that could give me more information about what was going on. And that person gave me a little bit more information, but then they couldn't find anything else going on. And I've actually met with 9 health professionals over the course of my 7 years of infertility. And it wasn't until I met the ninth one that found more root causes. I was able to get one diagnosis, and they said that could contribute it, which was Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And they said that could contribute to the fertility. But after being on thyroid medication and being on a whole food diet and a paleo diet and all sorts of supplements, that wasn't enough. And if you're unfamiliar with that, that is when you have um, elevated levels or low levels of thyroid, so hypothyroidism, and then your body produces antibodies, and the antibodies attack the thyroid itself, and then that lowers all of the thyroid hormones. And so it's really an immune response that's attacking the thyroid. So even after taking medication and doing all of these things, it still wasn't enough. And so the person I'm with now is a homeopathic provider. And we've been able to look at root causes, and we have found more things that have been leading up to fertility challenges. And we've uncovered so many more, such as heavy metal toxicity, past use of birth control was a big one that we had to remove from my body, past use of hormones and past use of steroids. And all of those things were barriers to my body. And those have been removed. And I have seen significant progress since that time. I'm no longer taking prescriptive medication. I'm not taking the thyroid medication anymore. I'm also not taking as many supplements anymore to manage my symptoms. And so, what I did with that diagnosis of unexplained infertility is I basically said, or my husband and I basically said, that's not good enough. We need to know what's going on. And so we went from doctor to doctor until somebody could find answers. Once we found answers, we were able to find solutions. And I really feel like that whole piece, that journey of finding that, I give my husband credit for doing that with me because it was really a challenging journey, and his support throughout that time really allowed me to say, I'm uncomfortable with this treatment, or really allowed me to say, I want a second opinion. And he was completely behind it, or he was the one that said, you need something else. And so being on the same page and really working on that teamwork of what can we do next and working on that communication really helped make that process a whole lot easier.
That's so good. That's such a blessing that you have a supportive husband. And yeah, that can really make or break, you know, a person's health and outlook and attitude towards this or any health challenge, really. So that's really important.
Yeah, I'm thankful that we have been able to get to this point because, like I said, when we were going through those challenges about 3 years into our marriage, this wasn't happening at all. I was going to appointments by myself. I was feeling overwhelmed with everything. I was feeling like this was all on me. Like I was completely responsible for fertility challenges. I was responsible for testing, and it's all my fault. So there was a lot of frustration and guilt and anger and sadness month to month when I couldn't figure this out. Um, and I was trying to do it by myself because he wasn't there because he was working or he was tired from working. And so when we had that conversation at the dining room table at year 4 of marriage, part of what I said was, I can't do this. I can't carry this whole burden by myself. It's honestly too much. And as I shared my heart with him, sharing where I felt like I was doing it alone and I felt like it was too much, and these were the things that were causing me stress, one of which was his job, and the other which was his mother-in-law had moved in with us at that time. When he really started hearing where I was, that's when we started seeing shifts because now we're openly communicating. He's listening to me and he's validating it. And now I'm able to hear his heart about why he was or was not doing certain things.
Yeah, communication is so important. So, now, this journey of yours, um, it's so empowering. It's become very empowering to you, to your relationship. And now, could you tell us more about how it empowers you as a psychologist, an educator, and couples fertility coach?
Yes, so because we have learned so much over our 9 year marriage, and especially over the last 4 years, um, we have used all of those things that we have figured out for ourselves, and now we pour it into other couples because we don't want other couples to feel stagnant in their relationship. We don't want other couples who are experiencing fertility challenges to stay in that tension and to allow it to break them apart, because at some point in time, if you're experiencing fertility challenges, the longer you're doing it, you will get to that point of make it or break it. You will reach that point of, we either need to dig into this relationship or we need to um, call it quits. I've spoken to many couples as I was as before I even got into doing this as for my job. I spoke to many couples that were had told me that this is their second time, their second go around with fertility, because with their first husband or with their first wife, they had fertility challenges and it caused too much stress and they actually separated or and got divorced. And so now this is their second time going at going at it trying to have children, and they want to make sure that the same things don't happen, the same patterns don't repeat. And that's why whenever I work closely with couples and individuals, we emphasize communication. We emphasize working together as a team. We emphasize getting on the same page. And some things that we like to teach them are not making assumptions. That's one of the biggest things that happens during this time is you're frustrated because you're assuming all these things about the other person. And most of the time, they are not true. And all of the time, they are a variation of what could be. And so, getting through these assumptions, having that communication, getting the truth, and listening to what the other person has to say, it allows you to be able to get on the same page easier. And this makes teamwork a whole lot easier. And that's kind of where we move next is working better as a team so that now you realize you're both on this fertility journey. It's 100% one, 100% the other to make a baby. And it's not just 50-50, and it's not just 100 and nothing. And so we need to remember that. So that's one of the biggest things that I think all couples need to hear and all couples need to realize that you're on this journey together. And in order to um, be successful in your marriage and in your fertility journey, you have to keep that perspective of we're in this together.
Yes, that's beautiful. And, assumptions, before they turn into assumptions, they're just thoughts.
Hmm.
And it's always best when you have a thought to, instead of declaring it true already right away or to act like it is, to just, check with the other person. And also sometimes, you might check with the other person and they'll give you a positive answer, but we won't believe it. And I think another thing is just it's really
Yeah.
always helpful to assume the best. And when you get good answers, to accept them, even, and it might be true that someone's whole heart isn't into that answer right away. But the fact that they've declared it means that's at least where they want to be going. It's in their heart,
Yeah. Yeah.
at the least. And through time and through strengthening that thought,
Yeah.
it can become a more sure reality.
Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes what I see is that for couples, if they struggle with um, recognizing this or seeing this as truth and they will not believe them, then that person might need to have a little bit deeper work, maybe some therapy, and uncover some reasons why they have difficulty trusting their partner and why they have difficulty believing that as truth. And then again, have once we go a little bit deeper into that, then maybe having that conversation again and really understanding what's going on because there's a couple of different things that could be happening. It could be the person who doesn't believe, it could be because they have their own issues and they feel like that they can't trust anybody, even their spouse, or it could be that their spouse has lied to them in the past and now they have trouble trusting them. Or it could be that the spouse is in fact lying and they are doing it, you know, to make the other person feel better because they don't want them to feel bad, because they feel like if they actually share their true feelings, it's not going to be well received. And so uncovering all of those options and knowing that this is a safe place to be able to have those open conversations and encourage couples to have those conversations and stating that these are safe places. And if they're not safe places, that's when we need to go deeper to say, why are these not safe places to have these conversations?
So I think one key takeaway that I'm getting, and or another one, you said a lot of, golden nuggets already, but one that's coming up right now is just that infertility is as much a mental health issue as well as a
Yeah.
physical health issue.
Yes, a lot of it is, especially knowing that as you are going through just your normal cycles, your hormones are changing, and as you are going through fertility treatments, your hormones change drastically. And people who have never experienced those hormonal shifts that come with fertility treatments or hormone treatments don't really know. If you've had birth control, you'll know. If your birth control wasn't great, those huge shifts that happen at certain points of time, and sometimes that makes you feel like you're going crazy. It makes you feel like all of these problems are happening and you have no control over it. And again, those are thoughts, but because your hormones are shifting and you feel it in your body, you have this physiological response. Your mind automatically says something's wrong. And then the next thought is usually something's wrong, it's me. It's me and I can't handle it. And then that's when we start getting those spiral thoughts that lead into anxiety or the spiral thoughts that lead into depression. Sometimes it's clinical anxiety and clinical depression, and sometimes it's not. It's just those fleeting thoughts that you might ruminate on and that causes you some emotional distress. And so mental health and mental well-being is a really big aspect of infertility, and also infertility when it comes to you and your partner and your relationship.
Absolutely. And body, mind, and spirit, they all affect each other.
Yes.
And modern science is only now starting to admit that. Not that it hasn't wasn't true before, but they used to deny it. But
Yeah.
they're finally starting to accept it. And because it's become undeniable, I think,
Yeah.
especially in our modern society, just the pressure and the stress and always being in, the
Yeah.
fight, flight, and freeze mode instead of the rest and relax and heal and restore mode.
Yeah. Yeah, because our mind and our thoughts impact what's going on in our body. If we have all of these negative thoughts and we have all of these anxious thoughts and these overwhelming thoughts, our mind is saying, it's not safe. I'm not okay. And if our mind is saying it's not safe, I'm not okay, then our body hears that and says, "Wait a minute. What's happening?" And then it starts to release different hormones. It starts to release cortisol. It starts to release a chain reaction of what we might conceive as negative events in our body that causes more health issues. Now, I've also heard and read a lot of research on mindfulness and how mindfulness and calming the mind and just thinking different thoughts, how having a settled mind can also create a settled body in different aspects of your body. And it can also allow you to feel where you're holding that tension in. And so when you're doing that mindfulness, sometimes you can feel, and I've done this before with my individual therapy patients, where you can feel the tension is in your hands. Or for some, most common one, the tension is in either your chest or your abdomen and your stomach. And so once we know where it's settling, then we can really process what that's about and we can work on more relaxation. But some of the time it does start in the mind.
Absolutely. And then, when your mind is troubled and your spirit is troubled, it causes inflammation and it causes hormonal imbalance and
Yeah.
just a chain reaction of things. And infertility might, could, if you don't deal with the root issues as you were talking about, it could devolve into worse things than just infertility, really, because infertility is just one symptom of of poor health and toxicity.
Yes. And one thing we don't actually commonly talk about is when we're looking at the whole picture of fertility and complete health. Most of the time when people talk about this, they talk about the woman and they talk about how she needs to have the right thoughts and she needs to have alignment with the spirit and she needs to have the complete health and wellness. But what a lot of times we don't really realize is all of that is great, but that's about the egg. And you're only talking about the egg, which is only half of the equation. And so you can do all of this work and get up to 100% on this person, and you're still only 100% of 50%. And I feel like it's very frustrating to see. I know that was our experience when we first started, and it's frustrating to hear from clients that they're only being prioritized half of them. And we're not really looking at the mental health of the man. We're not looking at what his thoughts are and how that could be impacting sperm quality or motility and his stress levels and what is he eating and what is he doing. And so I think by prioritizing the relationship, getting on the same page, working on teamwork, you realize, okay, it's about both of us. What are you eating? What am I eating? What are you thinking about? How is your mental health? Asking those questions to your partner and making sure you're both having good mental health, you're both having good nutrition, you're both prioritizing your health and wellness as well as your relationship. Um, Goes really far in actually creating healthy sperm and healthy egg to be able to get um, a healthy baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have hypothyroidism, not Hashimoto's, and I also have some bad experience with birth control. I just remember when I think it was,
Yeah.
I had given birth to one or two children, and I was on birth control for a while, and then I decided to get rid of it to have another baby. And I just remember that right after I got rid of it, like I don't remember if it was the day of or the day after, I just felt so differently. I just physically felt so differently. I
Yeah.
felt less stress, like an extreme amount of less
Yes.
stress. And I didn't even know because I think when the birth control started affecting my body, that was gradual. When I actually got rid of it,
Yeah.
contrasting before and after birth control, that was like turning on a light switch. It was very sudden. I don't know if I don't believe everyone has this effect, but I just remember feeling like I feel more calm, I
Mm.
feel less stressed, all these things. And so, so these things, they all affect each other, your mood, your physical health,
Yeah.
and your physical, mental, spiritual health not only affects you, but it can also have an influence on your spouse,
Yeah.
and even your children, your family, your coworkers, like everyone around you can be
Mhm.
affected by your health and whether or not you pay attention to it or not, and whether or not you're in a healthy environment, in a healthy relationship or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had a similar response to the birth control, and I think we feel it gradually when we're first taking it because we have high hopes that it's going to do something and it's not going to do anything bad. And so I think as we're taking it, we might notice some symptoms, but we think it's not going to be that big of a deal. And I think it's not until maybe a month or two that we realize I absolutely hate this. I know for me it was a couple of weeks and I realized I don't like this at all. It gave me anxiety, it gave me depression, it gave me irritability and a lot of stress, like you said. And it put my body through so much stress. And because I was overly emotional and stressed, my husband was also stressed because he didn't know what to do. And at that time, we didn't know there were alternative options and understanding family planning. We didn't know that. Everybody that I had asked all told me that this was the solution if you didn't want to have children at this point in time. And so we didn't know what to do as newlyweds. And so we said, this is it. So how can we just make it work? And I remember there were times where I would be sitting there just on the floor crying and I didn't know what to do. And part of me knew, like deep down inside, this is the birth control. But the other part of me was screaming, you don't know what else to do. So just keep taking it. And my husband that I had just married was wondering what is going on with you. And so we really had to figure out how to communicate and how to, relearn a couple of things because of that dynamic. And after being off of it, like you said, it was kind of like night and day where I emotionally felt so much better. I did end up getting ovarian pain and ovarian cyst as a result about 6 months after stopping birth control. I didn't have anxiety or the sadness anymore, but I did get ovarian cyst, which is a common yet not often stated side effect. And so I I think going through that journey with my husband allowed him to see the changes. And so when I had all of these confusing symptoms that I couldn't put the pieces together, he was able to say, coming from an outsider, I feel like this is the problem. And he was actually able to identify some of the symptoms and some of the issues before I did because he was seeing it from an outside perspective. And the only way we were able to get to that was because we communicated about it. I told him how I was feeling, I didn't hide it. I told him to pay attention to shifts. And I responded well when he told me, something seems off. Instead of getting defensive like some people do, I would say, what do you mean something seems off? Can you describe it to me? And so having that curiosity really helped find answers and it also strengthened the relationship.
Yeah, that's a wonderful story. So, I wanted to ask now, how do you help people and how can someone get in touch to work with you?
Yeah, so I offer a couple of different resources. So I offer coaching and therapy. The coaching is couples coaching, and then the therapy can either be individual or couples therapy. And I help couples who are experiencing fertility challenges to strengthen their marriage and to strengthen their mental health. Because, like we had mentioned all throughout our time together, fertility challenges really take a toll on your relationship and they really take a toll on your mental health. And so it is my mission to be able to help these couples feel more empowered and more hopeful. And the way that I do that is by giving them coaching on how they can move from point A to point B. And then I also give them therapy to help them uncover what could also be blocking them from moving from point A to point B. And so some of the sessions actually can be done with me and my husband. We do some of the coaching sessions together so that couples feel like they have both people involved so that they feel heard and validated from all sides. And then the therapy part, since I am a licensed clinical psychologist, I do that part virtually and I am able to see in up to 42 states right now. And so you can find my website, encourageandempowerwellness.com. I have some resources there and we will just connect if you are interested in any of these things. We'll just schedule a quick call and talk about what areas you would like improvement on and how I can help.
Okay, and what would you say? I mean, so my husband and I actually we've done both um therapy for like marriage therapy, marriage counseling, and we've also done marriage coaching.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. The marriage coaching that I went through was always my husband and I together. And then the marriage counseling or therapy that was partly
Yeah.
apart and then partly together.
Yeah.
And while I do see the value in both, I think that marriage coaching was really special in that it really gave us tools. It
Yes.
really gave us tools to,
Yeah.
like you said, work together as a team.
Yeah.
So it was a very different process for me. One was marriage building, and then the other one was more about understanding each other and being able to I guess tolerate each other, different things like that. And also understand ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's awesome. And so I really believe in coaching. Of course, therapy has its place and is important
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, you explained both of them beautifully. One of them is about building on where you are at. So coaching is saying, I can do better. How can I do better? And then therapy is about repairing the individuals who are experiencing the anxiety and they feel like they struggle with those skills that would be needed to build. And they say, I'm struggling with all of these things. Can you help me process a little bit more or get to a deeper understanding? And so that's more of the repair phase. And then coaching, I love that because it's also give me a bunch of skills so I can strengthen and build upon that. So they work well in unison.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know you have um, a special offer on your website. Your
Yeah.
website is encourageandempowerwellness.com. And there you have a guide.
Yes.
And
Yes, because I want to be able to help even if you can't work with me right now, I want to be able to help as many people as possible. So I created a guide called Eight Powerful Ways that you can strengthen your marriage while you are trying to conceive. So these are 8 specific strategies that you can work on right now. And then I also integrate into those strategies specific tips on how you can do that. And so the place that you find that is encourageandempowerwellness.com/stronger together guide. And there you'll be able to download the guide and be able to get the specific strategies that you need to be able to strengthen your relationship right now. And if you want more support after even reading that guide, you can schedule a call with me and we'll take it from there. Yep, that's it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Brenna. And I just wanted to point out, I just wanted to show everyone you and your husband so beautiful. The front page of your website right here. Protect your marriage and your mental health. Empower your fertility and grow stronger together. That's such a beautiful mission that you have. Thank you so much for everything
Yes.
that you do.
Yes, thank you. And I enjoyed being here.
Absolutely. So would you mind just closing us with and the conversation we're having today just with a closing thought?
During this time, it has the potential to cause problems. And it can either bring you apart or bring you closer together. And I want you to pay attention to all of those little red flags and not dismiss them because all the little red flags are signs that there is something going on. And those warning signs are letting you know that if you don't address them, just like the lights on the car on the dashboard of your vehicle, if you don't address those lights, your car is going to eventually break down. And so in a relationship, you'll have a little bit of red flags, and we want to make sure that you address those before the car breaks down. And so don't neglect those issues where you say, my husband and I are fighting, we're not on the same page. Really dive deep and really prioritize your marriage because that is the foundation for your growing family. That's not going to go away. Once you have children and you continue to have more children, your relationship is the foundation for what they see in a marriage. So prioritize your marriage, and that'll go a long way.
Awesome. Wonderful thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Algar and I am the host of Expertise TV, and I'm very excited to be introducing you to our guest today, Mayim Vega. Now, Mayim Vega is a former NASA computer scientist turned holistic healer after facing a very personal health crisis, which the modern medical system could not resolve. In 2009, she founded Arukah.com, which offers an holistic healer certification program focusing on 3 pillars: naturopathic herbalism, holistic life coaching, and online business and marketing to empower people to become holistic healers and achieve maximum impact in the world. Mayim combines her scientific background, natural healing methods, and faith in the creator and great physician to guide others on a path to personal and professional well-being. Mayim, it's clear that you are very passionate about the topic of holistic health and particularly helping people who are wanting to transition into this approach. How did you find yourself in this line of work, and why is this work so important to you?
Thank you, Ashley, for taking the time to speak with me. And I'd love to answer that question. So, the way I found myself in this line of work starts with my story of when I transitioned from becoming a computer scientist at the NASA Ames Research Center to becoming an entrepreneur and building my first online business in digital marketing. And the reason why I did that is so that I could stay at home and be with my newly born son at the time. And now I have 7 children of my own, and I always wanted to homeschool them and just be there for them. And so that's why I became an entrepreneur. But my first, my first few years as an entrepreneur was extremely difficult. And I thought it was healthy, but later on, after all my studies, I realized there were a lot of things that I was doing that was not very healthy. They were not very healthy habits that I had. And what ended up happening was I got really sick and I thought I was on my deathbed. And I was rushed to the emergency room, and the doctor actually thought that I had a brain tumor. But after extensive testing and examination, she told me that there was nothing wrong with me. I just, I was experiencing a lot of pain, but they had nothing for me. There was nothing they could do for me. She said that she could give me some really strong painkillers, but that's really it. She couldn't really get rid of the problem. And so I took the painkillers, but again, painkillers and any pharmaceutical drug never address the root cause of illness and disease. And that's exactly why this line of work is so important to me, and why I went on my own personal journey to become a holistic healer, to study nutrition, herbalism, holistic health, and holistic life coaching, is because we all know people, and maybe probably even ourselves, who, just like me, went to the modern medical system because that's the expected thing to do. That's a normal thing to do. And, tried to get health and healing that way, but hit a dead end, hit a brick wall, and we either got medications that didn't work, or that only worked for a while, or that caused side effects that were so terrible that we had to get on other medications, plural, and maybe even the medication or medications caused side effects that caused other health issues. And sometimes the health issues are worse than the first problem that you originally had. And we're on this ridiculous roller coaster of drug after treatment after procedure, because the modern medical system never addresses the root cause. And medical professionals who have woken up know this. And that's why I have medical professionals in my program, including, doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, medical technicians, etc., who are learning from me, who are, taking the certification program, because they realize that our system is broken and we need to fix it. It is our destiny as humanity to overcome all this nonsense, really. We can do better, and we will do better. I know it. And that's why, in my certification program, sometimes I joke around. No, it's not really a joke, but I say, I'm empowering not just holistic healers, but holistic warriors. We're in a battle. We're in a battle over our own health and healing, to safeguard and protect that, and that of our families and friends and community, of course, as well. And we're also in a battle against very powerful people who, because of profits, like to suppress holistic health and healing truths to keep us just sick enough so that we need something, pharmaceuticals, but not well enough to ever get off them. That is truly the goal of big pharma, of the pharmaceutical industry. It's not true. They don't want to heal us. They don't want to cure us. They want to keep us just sick enough so that we keep giving them our money. And you know what? Me personally, I have better things to spend with my money, like on good food, clean herbs, things that don't cause these ridiculous side effects that we experience with pharmaceutical drugs.
Thank you, Mayim. So that brings me to my next question. What are some of the key benefits of transitioning from the conventional healing approach to a holistic approach in health and healing?
Okay, so that's another really great and important question. The key benefits of transitioning from conventional healing to a holistic approach are, right now, I can think of three main reasons. Number one, the holistic approach is safer. Number two, the holistic approach is more effective. And number three, the holistic approach is the true approach that gets to the root cause. Okay. Now, I'd like to illustrate the first point, the safety of holistic medicine. If someone who was taking some, let's say blood pressure medication or something like that, visited me at my house, let's say I invited them over for dinner, and let's say they had to take some of their medicine and they dropped one of their pills, right, in my dining room or in my living room floor. Now I have very small children. I have a 4-year-old. And what if my 4-year-old found that pill on the floor and thought it was candy or something like that and put it in her mouth and ate it? What would happen? I would immediately have to call the poison control center to get that pill out of her system, because those pills can have deadly side effects. But what if someone dropped a vitamin C pill or a tincture, you know, and one of my children found it? For the most part, if they found it and took it, they might have a little diarrhea. It might be really spicy on their tongue, and so they would stop taking it. But no, I wouldn't have to control the poison control center, because vitamins and herbs and minerals are extremely, like 1,000 times safer than pharmaceutical drugs. There's a few types of, supplements that you might have to call the poison control center, but for the most part, no, you won't have to do that, because our body knows how to work with those substances. It is not a drug. It is a healing tool. Okay. So completely safe. Also, exercise, diet, those are all safe, right? Sleep, those are all part of holistic health and healing. Completely safe, zero side effects. Now, let's talk about the effectiveness. The holistic approach is more effective. And the reason why we know this is because in my practice, and this is the experience of many holistic healers, when it comes to the conventional ways with the pharmaceutical drugs, as I said before, they don't deal with the root cause. They just mask symptoms. So, you might take a cough suppressant, let's say, for example, but if you are not dealing with the root cause, why are you coughing in the first place? Why do you have allergies? Why do you have the flu, etc.? Why is your immune system not strong enough to overcome this in just a few hours or just a day or two, overnight? Why? Because you have not built up your immune system. You haven't boosted it or lived the kind of life that you need to in order to avoid those common illnesses altogether. I have one of my students is a medical doctor, and she said that she used to take anti-allergy drugs every single week because of her allergies. The allergy drugs don't boost your immune system. They just suppress it. They just oppress your allergy symptoms. But when you have allergy symptoms, it's your body talking to you and telling you, hey, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this thing that you're eating, or this environment that you've just stepped into because of my state of being. I'm not strong enough. That's what your immune system is saying to you. But I taught her a really powerful vitamin protocol that actually boosts your immune system so that your immune system is strong enough to overcome allergies. And so that's the difference. It is effective because it is true. It is true holistic health and healing because it strengthens your immune system. It doesn't silence it, like I said before. And the third issue is the root cause. Holistic health and healing deals with the root cause, and the conventional approach of drugs and surgery, etc., does not. That doesn't mean that you sometimes don't need surgery, for example, or in an emergency situation need a drug, but you're not dealing with the root cause. And if you deal with the root cause, you can make your problems either go away or become extremely minimal, safely, effectively, and naturally, without poisoning your body and causing the roller coaster of side effects.
Mayim, you have developed an incredible program that you've already mentioned called the Arukah Holistic Healer Certification Program, which you have specifically created for those looking to either transition into the holistic approach or for those who are wanting to grow in their knowledge and practice. Can you talk us through what differentiates this program from other similar programs that are currently out there?
Thank you, Ashley. Yes, the certification program at Arukah.com is really, truly incredible. And there's a few things that set it apart, actually, many things, but I'd like to focus on a few. And one of them is that when I designed the program, I designed it for someone who is in my situation many years ago, someone who was a busy mom who had a lot of work to do and, a lot of things on her plate, but still wanted to empower herself with the knowledge of holistic health and healing for herself, for her family, so she could take care of her family, and maybe even build a career where, very specifically, she could stay at home and, just like me, be a stay-at-home mom. And even a homeschool mom. I've been a homeschool mom. My oldest is 20 now, and I homeschooled him the whole way. And he's already graduated college, and he's got a computer science degree, and he's an entrepreneur himself. I instilled that dream in him. So being able to, I was able to surpass my income at NASA, and still homeschool my children. It's pretty awesome achievement. And so I wanted to empower people in my program to do exactly the same as I've done, to become a holistic healer, to have a successful online business so that they can have time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, meaning that there's no glass ceiling. No one who you need to get a raise from. You just have to help people. That's how I get paid, is when I help people, right? And so that's one of the advantages. Another advantage is it's very hands-on and apprenticeship based. And you could go to a college to study to become a naturopathic doctor or another holistic professional like a chiropractor. But it's going to take a lot more money and a lot more time as well. This program can be completed in 1 year, but because, all of my students pretty much are busy professionals already, or busy moms, it's self-paced. So, if you have a lot of things on your plate, it's okay. It's still going to be there for you. There's not like a time limit. You're not going to, your grade's not going to be lowered because you submit an assignment late or anything like that. It's self-paced. And so I've designed it for the busy mom or the working woman. And another thing that sets it apart is we have three core pillars in our program. One is that our students study naturopathic herbalism, and that takes up the bulk of our program. And naturopathic herbalism includes studying the foundations of holistic health and healing, identifying toxins and detoxification, also nutrition and orthomolecular nutrition or megadose vitamin therapy, as well as herbalism, which includes also homeopathy and aromatherapy with essential oils. And also they study Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine. But it's mostly focused on Western medicine, Western herbalism, excuse me. And then the next core pillar, the second one, is holistic life coaching. And the reason why holistic life coaching is part of the program is to incorporate the mind spirit aspect of it, right? If herbs and supplements are the alternative to pharmaceutical drugs, well, holistic life coaching is like the holistic alternative to psychiatry. It deals with the mind and the spirit, and spirit has to be part of it because we are spiritual beings. We're not just physical beings. We're also spiritual beings. Now, a lot of holistic health and healing schools are based on, different religions, New Age or, other pagan religions. And this program, because I'm Jewish, is based on the Creator. It's based on the Bible and biblical principles, Judeo-Christian principles. And so therefore, I have a lot of people who are of that faith persuasion, Jews, Christians, or people who maybe, they don't really identify as Jewish or Christian, but they're open to it or they grew up in that faith. and they don't necessarily want all the new age spirituality. They want the kind of spirituality that they are comfortable with and used to. That's another thing that sets us apart. And life coaching is all about mindset and how to have healthy relationships with yourself, with others. Of course, also, with food and your body and lifestyle. Holistic life coaching encompasses all of that. And it's a very important part of holistic health and healing, especially because stress is often the root cause of many illnesses, common illnesses, and also chronic diseases. So, that mind and spirit aspect is very important. And the third aspect is online business marketing. And again, the reason why that's important is because, as I told you, I really want my students to thrive and to be able to, have that time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom, which an online business provides. But also because, there's not a lot of jobs for herbalists, or life coaches even. And so we really have to be entrepreneurial. And it's very, very rewarding. And because of my background, with my digital marketing business, my first business, I can really help people in that department.
Thanks so much, Mayim. So I love the power of testimony and hearing people's personal experiences or journeys. Can you share some of the success stories that might be coming to mind or testimonials from past students?
Yes, we certainly have a lot of success stories and testimonials, and we'll show some of those testimonials at the end of our talk today in this video. But I could talk about a few of them that are, maybe recent. One of them is one of my students. She told me that she wanted to become a nutritionist, but, I guess her life's journey didn't really allow for that. So when she heard about my program, my certification program, when it first launched, she joined, and she really wanted to help her husband, who had been suffering from colitis under the care of doctors for about 20 years, ever since he was in the military. And he was going from medication to medication and, suffering with diarrhea and insomnia and restless legs and indigestion and, all these terrible things that colitis can cause. And so I actually created a custom module for her to help her husband with that. And in 2 months, she helped her husband get off the medication and heal from colitis using food and herbs and natural holistic healing methods. So that was a great accomplishment for her. And, I get people, contacting me saying that I helped them grow their hair back, or actually someone said, "Oh, you helped save a little girl's life," just beautiful, wonderful things like that. You helped me heal my daughter, you helped me grow, regrow my teeth so I don't have pain from cavities anymore, like just all these wonderful testimonies. And that's the reason why I love doing what I do. And, and you will too, if you join the program. It's so rewarding and fulfilling to understand and to know that you are helping people, truly helping people in ways that they can't get in the modern medical system. It's so rewarding.
Incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that, Mayim. I can only imagine the sense of reward when people start applying these principles to their lives and actually see a change and transformation. And for somebody as passionate as you are around this topic, to witness that and to be a part of that, I imagine that the reward is priceless. So another common question that arises is, once someone completes the program, what are some of the practical steps one would take in order to start a successful career in holistic health?
Okay, that's a great question. And that's actually what the third pillar of our program is all about is, what do you do? Practical steps and what you would do to start a successful career in holistic health. And in that program, we teach our students how to create a high ticket transformational health coaching program that really helps people deal with a serious problem, a serious health issue. And that doesn't mean that it's a deadly, problem, but it can be something that really affects their life, right? Even skin disorders can really affect your life, right? Even though it's not necessarily deadly. Weight loss could be something that is dealing with a serious issue. There's so many different types of health coaching programs that one can make, anxiety, depression, hormonal issues, etc. So they build, it's part of the program. They will do this while they're still in the program, and we'll support them the whole way, is to build that first high ticket health coaching program and then set up their online assets, such as their website, their social media, a video sales letter, press releases, podcasts, all those things that online entrepreneurs need in order to connect with people, get their message of health and healing out there, and build and grow and scale their business.
Thank you so much, Mayim. It's been so great talking with you today. But before we close, for those that would like to get started on the journey to becoming an holistic healer and wanting to learn a little bit more about the certification program, how do they go about contacting you?
Yes, it's been wonderful talking to you today as well. And for all those who would like to get started on their journey to become a holistic healer and learn more about the certification program, all they need to do is visit the website, www.arukah.com, ARUKAH.com, and dig into that and schedule a discovery call. And I would love to be your mentor, your health coach, your teacher in guiding you to become a holistic healer, to become the healer of your home and your family and your community, and to help you build a profitable online health coaching business.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Mayim. So there we have it, folks. If you are ready to move forward in your own journey of becoming a holistic healer, then you can visit the website at www.arukah.com, where you can schedule your first discovery call. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.